Namaste, good evening, everybody.
नमस्ते भैया।
Namaste.
नमस्ते सुदर्शन जी।
Yes, namaste. Okay, so I'll just start sharing where we left off. So where we left off was at as with these aspects are understood, a coherent thought process develops, leading to planning and creation of structured programs, ultimately resulting in verifiable outcomes. So we are talking about understanding as understanding the existence and its four orders, right? Once we have understood that, we become in orderliness and in line with existence. So what it is its purpose, and that will lead to planning, and creation and structured programs. So this is what is the outcome, which is going to have verifiable outcomes. So I'm just making sort of notes for myself in a way by highlighting this, right? Without understanding, how can we develop a meaningful thought process, right? In the absence of understanding, one prevalent way of thinking is the pursuit of comfort and accumulation. So here, we are reminded that the person who is not in orderliness will, by default, stick with comfort and accumulation because they have fear of what will happen in the future. So that's where the accumulation comes, and they have the lacking of all the Jeevan Kriyas performing to their fullest, which is why their comfort, they try to fill that gap with the comforts like more and more materialistic things and all those kind of accomplishments that they feel. Um, the other is idealism, which focuses on renunciation and non accumulation, detachment, and devotion. So, again, here with the mysticism and the idealism, there is a way of making one feel superior by renouncing everything, not getting attached to anything, even if it is our relatives or whomsoever it may be. We feel sort of disconnect with them, or rather, we mimic a sort of disconnect as if that they are just the body and we are not supposed to be worried so much if they are in a problem or peril. It is not such a big agenda. We have done this for millions of lifetimes. So that is the how do we say it? The mindset of the idealism. So yes, I actually am personally aware of this because once upon a time, our grandfather was very involved with the saints, and unfortunately, he has passed now. But the way he used to deal with the problems was that he used to call up the saints quickly. Anytime that the problem occurs in the family, some sort of dispute, some financial trouble with the sons or with the grandsons, then he would come up in the picture with the saints and ask them to pray or ask them to do good from God, and never able to communicate with his children, in fact, and never used to take accountability from his children. So this is another thing that I have seen with my own eyes. Whenever something was not according to the site of business, I used to get the beating of it by words that I have to listen about my father from my grandfather, because he cannot talk directly to his son, which is my father. So yeah, this thing is that we start, and showing some sort of a way of expecting justice from some third person who is sort of an idealistic person and so called per commune with God or something like that. So they are asked on behalf of the person who has the position or money to fix the problems of of the people who are in having some position of power or having some financial this thing. Uh, and they accountability is that the whatever happens, it's God wish. So this was one of the things, and of course that is a very beautiful and very perfect sentence to say. Whatever happens, God has wished it, so that's why it's happening. So um, unfortunately now I see that is just an escape. And if it is indeed that, then we would not have so much problems in the families still happening even after they have prayed for us or they have given the blessings or whatever it is. So this again stands on the forefront that understanding is pivotal in any sort of relationships to foster, to grow. And I mean, we cannot rely on third people, especially those who have renounced. I actually clicked that how can we ask somebody who has renounced the world for fixing some problem that somebody is in the world with, you know? So yeah, you might be having a very similar sort of experience with that. There's another example I'll give you. A lot of people, like they go and ask Devi Devta for a child, for example, and the Devi Devta themselves are celibates. So how is it possible they can give a child to you when they themselves had not engaged into a marriage or any sort of relationship like that? So this is another example that I can see there is a lot of flaw, basically a simple flaw that how can somebody who has not achieved that be giving that out to other people. So, anyways, this was just a very shallow way of thinking, but this is the fact. And many people are stuck in that cycle also still. So that's why I thought of mentioning it here. It's saying in the next line, in fact, millions have devoted themselves to idealism, demonstrating their courage, patience, and dedication. Yet, neither of these ideologies has led to emergence of an indivisible society. So here we are talking about the two ideologies, which is basically idealism and materialism, and none of them have emerged with an indivisible society, of which is actually the case. I mean, we all are governed by the mulyas. We all are uh, having the seven types of relationships. So definitely, we are an indivisible human, human race. But then all this idealism and materialism have never brought us together. Any thoughts or any comments till now? We are going to read the new words today. So maybe if you have something to share, we can just have a moment here before we continue.
All good, Bhaiya. But
But yeah.
there is one word in Karm Darshan which is Upasana,
Mm,
which means we sit with Devatma or Divyatma.
mm,
Then what happens is that you get strength. It is
mm.
written, and some of the better ideas. So
Right,
upasana is different than bhakti virakti. It's
right.
like assuming yourself to be or sitting with them and
Mm,
imbibing the qualities of the Devi Devta in
right,
yourself. It's not
right.
demanding anything, rather
Mm,
imbibing those qualities.
mm,
So that basically is not for the fulfillment of worldly desires. It is
mm,
basically getting strength, getting understanding of values and all those things. So
mm,
that's aspect is there. So while reading Karam Darshan, I could get those idea, and if you remember in the last class, I discussed it with Shalini Didi.
mm, mm,
She tried to explain. I think by reading more, things will be more clear. So
mm,
I get a glimpse. Earlier,
mm,
I was equating everything with bhakti virakti, and I was very convinced that there is no use of these things.
mm,
But upasana, a new word came
mm,
into my reading, and then I realized uh,
mm,
there is something that you can imbibe those qualities, and
mm.
accordingly certain virtues will be in you. So that is
Right.
a different aspect.
Right,
That
right.
I wanted to add to you what you said.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of people on this earth have actually, and in fact, Babaji has also said this rightfully that all my wisdom is thanks to the people who have done their work in the past, which means that he has accepted the works of the prophets or so-called people who have known God or we commune with God and all these kind of things. The ones who have written the scriptures, the stories, and all those of idealism. But the fact still remains. Of course, there are the right things, and we can judge them by saying that are they um, creating an environment for indivisible society. That is the question, that is the acid test. If it is, then it definitely it is in line with Babaji also, because Babaji is saying the same thing. If any religion or anything you see, they were actually imbibing this only. It's just that some people thought of making temples, and I'll give you a simple example. There was once discourse going on, and some businessmen, at that time they were called banias, of course, that we are going to say the word businessmen. They came to the to the gathering, and they had brought coconut as an offering to the person who was sitting in front and leading the sabha. And now the person who was sitting in leading the sabha was like antaryami. I mean, he could read the minds of the rest of the crowd, right? So one of them, the first businessman, he placed the coconut at his feet and then bowed and sat down. The second one was a little bit smart. He brought a coconut which was hollow, right? Basically खोखला था उसको तो he offered it to the god, and he said and sat down, and then uh, he asked at the end that yes, if you are the god, then you shall obviously give us salvation. So the one who was sitting in front of them, let's call him the god person, the god man, he said that I will give you salvation like the coconut you have offered. So the businessman also was feeling ashamed that he was caught, that
Hmm.
he has offered the coconut which is hollow, and then he will get the salvation which is hollow. But he was also smart. So what he said is that okay, I may have offered a coconut which is hollow, but you are the truth, na? You are the right person. So even though my coconut is a wrong thing or it's a hollow thing, but you are full, na? You are the person with the full of the grace. So and then the godman laughed and said, okay, I will also give you the salvation. So this is a small sort of sweet talk that happened in those times, and it was really interesting how the things happened. But for sure, even Babaji has given us a lot of references like this where people have actually wanted to ask him something, and the next day Babaji just comes up to them randomly and just says the answer without them asking him first. And everyone, I mean, couple of times I've heard the Prabodhaks, in fact, in their lifetimes. Sombaya has said this, Sadhan Bhaiya has said this, I think Shri Ram Bhaiya has said this. A lot of people, Prabodhaks who are with Babaji, have had this sort of experience. And I regard this as a clarity of Jeevan, maybe we can say that, because that's the only thing which is the one which is feeling and experiencing, right? The whole of existence. So when you have this sort of thoughts in your mind as questions, they are tarangs, actually vibrations that are felt by the person who is clear in mind. So definitely we can say that these people have come in the past. They have also existed as in a form of Babaji also, and they will also exist in the future, because this only happens when we are um, how can I say it, clear in mind, or clear in the Jeevan level, and those tarangs are able to be felt by these kind of people. And yeah, definitely, you are saying the right thing that we should keep
No,
up with
but
the. Yes,
but
bhai.
Bhaiya, I personally also feel that
Hmm.
uh, the the idea of coexistence is far better than worshipping of the deities. So
Hmm.
that my personal opinion is that we as human being must
Hmm.
take the responsibility of
Hmm.
understanding all the values and
Hmm.
work according to the benefit of each other and
Yeah.
that of the other three forms of the matter, like
Hmm.
matter and plants and animals,
Hmm.
apart from having a valuable and good relations with the human being. So that
Hmm.
should be our priority, not the priority is the worship of God or the
Hmm.
worship of the deities.
Hmm.
Because ultimately, if someone is worshipping the God but not good in relationship, then it is of no use.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and more so that person is actually felt as a person who has destroyed the family. So he might be actually rendering a lot of hate also from the crowds, because ultimately the crowds are of people who are ordained with ordained ordinary skills or ordinary work or ordinary relationships, and here is a person who calls upon them as the savior, him or himself or herself, and then they literally take over their life, the person of the devotee, and then the family behind is left in a lot of distress or things like that. So yeah, I think you are right in that sense. um, I again just want to say that those people who have actually called themselves as people with God or with existence as a like they're saying, they have never demanded that they should be linked or connected with wealth or money or fame or something like that. They have always lived a simple life. At least that is what my understanding is. And they have always wanted it for the masses also. So here we are, that we are arguing that it has not followed to create an indivisible society. But that is because of the chelas, the successors. They have not done the work purely. So again, it's because maybe the person who has attained the wisdom was not able to transfer it. Again, neti neti, it's not able to be told, it's not able to be understood, and that is how it is getting stuck for so many millennia or millions of, it's not millions but thousands of years, that the civilization of humanity is, we were not able to convey it as such. So I mean, maybe even the scientific endeavor. I mean, look at the atom. It was not visible by the eyes, but now if you go in the trance and see the things like the Babaji saw it, to compare it or to tell it to somebody else today is easy, because we have the microscope and the electron microscope, which is actually able to see the not at the electrons, but at least at the atomic structure, it is able to see. The electron microscope can zoom in that much that we can say that yes, what Babaji was seeing was like, almost as similar as what the electron microscope is able to see. So I think maybe at that time, the like today we can say that it is because of orderliness that these things are happening. And now we have quantum physics and entanglement theory and all those string theory and all those kind of things, which actually prove that there is a reason that things are happening. And that reason is because of a subtle form of coexistence, the reason being the coexistence. And they are slowly getting there. The scientific endeavor is also there, that they're slowly getting there. So I mean, they might not have the words at that time, but they always had, I think, in my heart I feel that they had the fact of indivisible society, and hence their gunas or their virtues are still credible. I believe that they are worthy, they are worth looking upon. But be it in the way of understanding, I think there is no second than this, because this is the first and this is the only darshan I have seen that touches upon the whole of existence. Secondly, it touches upon the daily lives. Thirdly, it touches upon the family structure, which is, it says, is the strongest. And then it keeps on adding to that layer by layer, when it comes the society, when it comes with the state, and the whole of the world, and then ultimately one world, one humanity, one country, right? So that's how Babaji saw it. But the whole world is one country, and it has so many states. So all the other countries that we say, we so-called countries, are actually just states according to Babaji. And everything should be decided at the country level, which is at the global level, or like
Mm,
the whole of
mm,
world
mm.
level. So yes,
Bhaiya, you
Hmm.
just mentioned that scientists are able to see the structure of the atom. So,
Hmm.
how do you? What is your opinion that are there any chances that in future
Mm.
they will also be able to see the Gathanpur Parmanu? What Didi mentioned
Mm.
that Bal Mukund Bhaiya is doing some research.
Right.
So, what are the possibilities that this complete atom will also be able to, someone will be able to see that?
The thing is that see, Babaji has also said one more thing is that every instrument that is made by the man will always be lesser than a man, right? And we are definitely at the electron microscope. So basically, electron microscopes are using some sort of magnetic effect, and it's able to. Maybe it's not a colorful image, but they show a black and white image of where all the atoms are in a line, and you can see a solid piece of metal or gold or something, and you can zoom in, you can see some round things, uh, just a possible nucleus you can see. No, we cannot see the electrons still, right? So my reasoning is that we will definitely be creating the tools of zooming in, but we still not be able to see it the way we see it with our knowledge, with our like the way Babaji has given is man vritti chit buddhi, will not be able to see it so clearly as the scientists or they are trying to say. It still is a limitation of the, how do you say it, Xerox की copy जो होती है ना वो always 20% कम clear होती है. So whatever we create, like we will create a Xerox only of something that we are able to understand. So that is a problem. That is why we have to use our kalpanashilta, our imagination to to continue seeing further and further down the road, but and that too with the I mean education being the primal force to understand all this what Babaji has written, and we use that kalpanashilta, and there is no alternative. There is not even equal to kalpanashilta as in today's day and age. Maybe AI is comparative to that, but then again, the one who is understanding na, is Jeevan only. It's not some machine that we are going to make and that will understand or that will zoom in and see, because that will be always be lesser, as I said. And also Babaji has said that every machine will be made will be lesser than the what the human being is. All right. So I have my doubts that Jeevan will be able to be seen in the physical sense, but definitely the Jeevan can be understood, and the Jeevan can be experienced, and we can use maybe artificial intelligence can be programmed. Again, it is people like us only who are going to mention the things, and then it will learn from us, and then it will keep on replicating that again to the next generation. But for the sake of argument, that can we see the Jeevan Parmanu physically? I still have my doubts, because it will be tools, and those tools are always going to be lesser than the human. So that is my take on it. But yeah,
Moreover, you just said that these things are we are the scientists are able to see under certain effects like magnetic effects or others, and
Hmm.
these effects may not be affecting the Jeevan Parmanu. That is why it may not be possible to
Uh,
see it directly.
yeah, it is also a limitation of the equipment itself. See, the equipment has to be more finer than the electrons and the atoms. So we are talking about the basic unit of building, like the brick. You know, the brick is a basic unit of building for a house. So you cannot study the brick, for example, with another brick. Even if you make another brick, you have to make it like more like, am I able to understand? You can, if you're making a house with bricks, right, and the smallest unit is the brick, so how can you explain the atom with something that can able to zoom the atom? So something that can able to zoom the atom has to be smaller than the atom itself. So that is the dilemma I have. So to study something like a brick, we have to create an instrument which is able to go inside the brick's content. So that is what my argument is. How can we zoom in inside the atom, where the atom itself is the lowest, the basic of all structures. So that is my dilemma, and my this thing. Only the imagination, and that is the gift basically. Only the imagination can go there and try to understand it. So that is my take on it. The basic structural shape also is the basic, is the minimum, is the atom, And to zoom into that, we cannot use any other thing, because the basic is that the minimum is that of iron or whatever it is, hydrogen, uh, and you have to go lesser than that to go and study it. So that's not possible technically. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I just am using my imagination again, and that's what I'm feeling, that that's going to be a barrier itself. The basic unit is a limitation itself. हम्म। लेट्स सी, आई मीन कल्पनाशीलता तो है ही है हमारे पास, है ना, उससे तो हम
हाँ,
लोग
और
स्टडी कर ही
भैया जो
सकते हैं।
दीदी ने कहा कि बाल मुकुंद भैया कुछ रिसर्च कर रहे हैं या कुछ
हम्म।
और लोग भी कर रहे होंगे, तो वी आर होपफुल कि वो इस इंसाइट को और थोड़ा बेटर कर सकते हैं।
हम्म।
जो जो भी है, तो कुछ और
हाँ।
ऐसी चीजें ला सकते हैं जिससे
हाँ,
क्लैरिटी और ज्यादा बेटर हो जाए।
क्लैरिटी तो बढ़ जाएगी डेफिनेटली, ही इज रिसर्चिंग ऑन टू क्लैरिटी, दैट विल हैपन। व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट
हम्म।
इज अ फिजिकल, लाइक आपके सामने पेपर में दिखाया गया होगा और ऐसे मूवमेंट हो रहा है, या ऐसे प्रोजेक्टर में आपको जीवन परमाणु दिखेगा। आई एम डाउटिंग दैट, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से। That is
ओके।
my understanding. But
हम्म।
definitely Balmukund Bhaiya is going to talk about clarity that he has achieved, and he will be able to explain that. Though that is of course going to be possible by lecturing, talking, and explaining and using the Kalpana Shilda. That is of course going to be very positive to hear also, and very possible also. है ना? That I don't have any doubt. Hmm. Okay, so we have somebody. So. Okay, so I'll just continue now. My endeavors was solely to find answers to my questions. I had no aspirations to attain of attaining heaven, wealth, or material accumulation. My only resolve was that if I had a doubt, I would inevitably find the answer. So here is almost being very optimistic, where he is having a question in his mind and he is thinking that it will be answered by existence. So here he is starting now. I will now explain the meaning of yog and sangyog. The meaning of yog is coming together. For example, we are going somewhere and we come across a rock or another person. That's called yog. Sayog means to come together for completeness. Completeness means humans living in orderliness. The ultimate completeness means humans becoming authentic. Humans inherently want to live in orderliness and become authentic, but when that want is not fulfilled, they helplessly get molded, according to tradition. Yoga and Sanyog are always there in existence. There have been many efforts in history for completeness. Their becoming successful is another matter. Humans have made many sacrifices for achieving completeness. Sacrifices eventually lead to something. Okay, so I think we are talking about coincidence first, which is yog, is coming together. For example, if we are going somewhere and we come across a rock or another person, that's called yog. So yog means to come together for completeness. Hmm. This reminds me of why should two people come together, and that is for the
हम्म।
completeness of each other.
हाँ, तो बाबा जी हैज डिस्टिंग्विश्ड योग एंड संयोग हियर। योग
Hmm.
मीन्स मिलना, और
Hmm.
संयोग मीन्स संपूर्णता के अर्थ में मिलना।
Hmm. Hmm. बढ़िया, बढ़िया। I'm just reminded of this movie called Serendipity, and in that movie, there is this actress who is supposedly tells the actor or the hero that, okay, we have met coincidentally today, and we have met the second time. Let's write a signature or something in the book, and when this book finds you again, that's when we will say that now we are meant to be, or something like that. That storyline was the meaning itself of the movie was serendipity means by chance, if we are supposed to be together, we will meet again through this book. And she has signed in that book, and she just gave that book or sold that book to somebody else, and that book was supposed to come to that hero, and it does come to that hero. I mean, of course, these are superficial ways of thinking, but they do occur randomly also. and sometimes we get stuck onto them. This is called hopeless romantic. Even in our teenage years, we can relate to that. I can definitely relate to those kind of things, where we see the image of our better self in the other person, and we try to justify that with sanyog, or we were meant to be, or something like that. So even though it has happened just like that, just the way it is written here as yog, but we sort of make it a flowery thing and all those kind of things, and is making it, a make believe kind of dream world, so that how it is meant to be, and try to be just fully engaged with that event, or in that hollow space we try to put imaginary visualizations and all those kind of things. And
Hmm.
yeah, surely this is not according in accordance to what is Babaji saying here for completeness. That is the question. I mean, the question asked now, the people who are coming together today, yesterday, in the years to come, are they coming together in completeness? Or is this just coincidentally you have the same food tastes, similar movie tastes, similar music taste, and they get married, and then they're finding that there is a little bit of khatpat because they are still working with the four and a half kriyas. So nobody is completing nobody else, and they find that there is somebody else who is having the other set of combinations of something likable. So Priya Hit Labh, again, whatever they are going after is still circling around to that. So I hope the youth of tomorrow are really guided towards this. I'm just reminded of how important this is to come together for the sake of completeness. Otherwise, what happens is you are just looking for some dull shades of each other and finding some sort of attraction, momentary attraction, and then coming again out of that. And then, so you get healed, for example, from that situation, then you start looking for another person. So definitely a very, very muffled and jumbled kind of world we have today, and especially for the teenagers. I'm very, very skeptical also that either the teenage or the youth of tomorrow will completely stay away from relationships due to fear, obviously, or they will just get into a lot of sort of casual relationships and create a very, very bad havoc sort of in their lives, where they will not be able to understand and mutually fulfill that kind of relationship. So I hope I'm not saying too much, but I do see this in the modern serials and modern ways the movies are made, and it is definitely something that is encouraged, to have multiple partners and to have multiple people in your lives, and that is going to be a lot of problem because of that, and this is again because everybody is just getting together for the sake of getting together and not because of completeness. So yeah, I think just thought
Here
of
in
that.
this group, we can say, Bhaiya, that
Huh.
we have met because of Sanyog.
Yes,
That is
definitely.
for the completeness.
Exactly. And I would also add that everything that goes in line with completeness, na, it becomes easy to maintain, easy to learn from, easy to digest, easy to experience, and even the all the existence is actually favoring you, The time favors you, the power favors you, the environment favors you. Everything is like on right now, working for the sake of this to happen. But if it was just yoga, then something or the other might go wrong and something might be happening like that. But I have experienced this, that every person who is linked with darshan is having a very synchronous, uh, like I've never heard of somebody who is darshan and had a very misfortunate life, that they are cursed, or they have a very bad experience of something or something. They are having a very, very fulfilling, smooth existence, as I see it, you know compared to what they had in the past. So yeah, this is definitely the case. So yeah, even if we are in line with existence also has its own perks for us. And so yeah, it's worth staying with this path, so that's what I'm trying to say basically. Maybe the youth want to add something to this, because they are also obviously with us in this journey, so they might want to add. Okay, is this true, maybe what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, I agree with this completely.
Mm,
But अभी के current scenario में the youngsters are completely aimless in what they want in relationships that they're having, even romantically, and everything is just guided by their sensory pleasure and whatever the movies are telling us.
exactly.
And yes, so that is the problem. Another thing is that whatever is being set in the traditional society already, uh,
दीदी आपका वॉइस क्रैक हो जा रहा है शायद यू हाँ
I'm
डिस्कनेक्ट
not in a very good side. I'm not what is the problem? Am I audible right now?
हाँ
Are we
ओके इट्स
audible
गेटिंग
now?
बेटर या नाउ इट्स बेटर हाँ
Huh. So I think that even as a society, the examples that have been set for the youngsters in already set up marriages and whatever relationships there are,
राइट
they have been represented to be very unsatisfying and unsatisfied in terms of, emotionally and uh, mutually happiness, whatever exists between like couples and all is very little. So because of that, they are trying to get away from the traditional setup, and they don't know where to head to. So whatever the media and everything is guiding, and
राइट
whatever their instincts are guiding. So instincts, obviously, since we are not all samajhdar and right now, so instincts are obviously guiding towards the more chaotic end.
एग्जैक्टली या
So that is my sense.
जो बहुत बढ़िया आपने पॉइंट बताया कि अभी तक वो उसका वो माचा ढांचा ही नहीं बना है द स्ट्रक्चर द फ्रेमवर्क इज नॉट देयर इवन इफ इट इज देयर इट इज बेस्ड ऑन प्रिय हित लाभ
Mm,
सो
mm,
first of all the youth is guided by superficial attachments like for example looks or physical strength or something like that and they are actually guided to judge or to pick a person a partner maybe even for the sake from their outlooks for the way they how they talk or what they how they walk or the how they carry themselves build themselves so still again just completely cosmetic like for example a way of looking at a person whereas we are here as a Jeevan, the body is something that is perishable, and we are not supposed to actually even look at the body as such. In the sense, it is there as a complementary to the Jeevan. The Jeevan is supposed to be looked upon how much it is in line with the existence. Even if it is in the on the path, you can choose a partner maybe the having the similar sort of goals end goals and not just cosmic again cosmetic goals like I want to be a 1 crore by 20, 10 crores by 30 and all this kind of thing. There's so many videos on this even how to become crorepati by 15, 20 years and there are people who are also achieving those things. But again, you can see that the earth has its exhaustion limit which is reaching because of these kind of things. People are not able to get the fulfillment also yet still because of this even though they are achieving these goals. So the superficial goals with cosmetic appearances and likings and ultimately the earth is going down the drain. So this is this is the current scenario which is happening right now. And I mean, literally, the youth is really, really at a peril for the right understanding to happen or occur. If not yesterday, then it should happen to today. If not today, then it should happen tomorrow as quickly as possible, as earlier as it can. I think they are also because see what happens is that they have already lived a previous life and they have most probably experienced some things already and the Jivan is always wanting what is it called Jagrati, right? So definitely the Jivan comes on this earth to attain Jagrati. It's not just that it wants to have material things. It will look for where the happiness is. And the Sukh Dharmi, the Jivan is Sukh Dharmi. So where does the Sukh come from? So we have to have this sort of answers as the person who are knowing it. We should have it on our fingertips and be able to tell it to the most people we can, and also that also longs for the understanding of than us in the first place, right? So yeah, if we don't do it, then of course the market is there, and the people who are showing off is there, that they can attain happiness. So such as I said, number quantifications of money and all those things. But it's not going to happen. They will always feel the the lacking, you know. And this is very shameful actually, for as a human race, one has to grow up and die literally on false buildings and of, I mean, when I say buildings, I mean the structure of materialism and idealism also. Even people who are in the idealistic world today, the youth are also gaining into some sort of religious cults and all these kind of things, because they want to feel belonged, they want to feel to contribute, they want to feel that they are part of something huge, you know. So that's what they're looking for, and that's what they this darshan is also actually giving this insight very nicely. But let's see how far we can take this, and with our efforts, let's see what much we can do with our clarity first being the fulcrum of the whole thing, right? But yeah, we have still a couple of 8 minutes to go before we can stop and then discuss. In the process of breaking a boulder, the success becomes visible with the final strike, but it is the cumulative effect of all the preceding strikes that makes the final strike successful. So I think what Babaji here is saying that previously the people or the persons who have given the strikes or the blows to the stone being basically understanding, and the final blow on it is the one which is showing the result, right? So the success I achieved is also due to the contribution of all prior efforts. Therefore, I acknowledge that this event is a result of the entire humankind's collective contribution. So here, not only is Babaji accepting all the people who have worked towards knowledge, towards understanding, and thanked them in a way, but also he said that what I have, the success I achieved, is also due to the contribution of all prior efforts. So he is not taking upon himself as the person who is the benefactor and the person who is going to be regarded as the person who has brought this darshan here, but as the final person who has given the blow towards understanding, and the boulder or the stone is split basically of understanding, right? A significant benefit of this understanding is that it prevented me from becoming arrogant about my success. A significant benefit of this understanding is that it prevented me from becoming arrogant about my success. So here he's saying that even though he became understood, knowledgeable, he was not arrogant. Additionally, very few people who exhibit arrogance have approached me. Even those who initially displayed arrogance experienced a reduction in their egotism after a few interactions. So again, I think this is the beauty of what is the word I'm looking for, the transparency, maybe the transparency of existence was understood by Babaji, and that's uh, what he explains. As he says in a few interactions, that's what he explains to the people, and the people obviously use their kalpana shilta also. They're able to see the whole of existence like that also, and that's how their arrogance or of their knowledge or their pad or gurutva that they feel that they have also dissolves because of the transparency of truth. The way it is, the existence way it is, knowing it and understanding it is also how the other person is able to see it, and this is how they also are reduced of their egoism, right? बहुत बढ़िया. I'll just read one more paragraph. Everyone who met me did so civility, simplicity, and naturalness. However, this does not mean that everyone who met me accepted my ideas. Many people did not, and I respect their stance as well. It is not their fault. They are burdened by tradition. Okay, let me just stop here because this is also another point that it was said. We talked about this in earlier sessions where if a child is of a completely different race, like let's say a dark skin colored child, maybe let's say a dark child versus a black child, is brought to, let's say, the European countries, he or she will also pick up the accent of the ones who are surrounding it. Yet, if we go to the European countries, we will have an accent of Indian descent, right? So, this means that there is a sort of barrier in our chitta which we have developed about ourselves, and that is the one which is creating the wall. So here again, I want to read this again. Many people did not, and I respect their stance as well. It is not their fault. They are burdened by tradition. Consequently, I remain content whether aspects my someone accepts my ideas or not. Each human being carries the seed of righteousness within them, and sanyog must occur for this seed to flourish. So here, as I mentioned, if the wall, or if the tradition, as is mentioned here, within us is not so stringent or so tight, or if we are not so attached with our own belief systems, then what is said here in this book will be able to go through very easily. I am reminded of pipings or pipe works which are in our house. Uh, if you are aware of some houses, there is an air cavity which happens in plumbing, and for that air cavity to, basically what happens, the pressure of the plumbing reduces completely. So if the tank level falls, then the air is able to enter into the pipe system, and then even if you fill up the full tank, there is still pressure which is not able to come in the rooms or in the bathrooms or in the kitchen, because there is some air blocks or air cavities that are taking place in the plumbing itself. So the way the plumbing is made is such that there are air gaps. So whenever you open the tap, it's very, very less amount of water is coming. So you basically have to open all the taps, let the pressure come easily, and that's how you get the air out from the plumbing. So I'm just reminded of that example because we have that situation in our house actually. When the tanks get empty up in the terrace, the air gets into the piping, and we have to, whenever, even if they fill up the whole of the tank, there is very less water coming into the plumbing, so we have to get rid of that air. And the only way to do that is to open all the taps, and then the air gets out with the water, and then we close the taps, and now we have the full pressure again of the tanks. So uh, the air cavity here is being labeled as the burden of tradition, right? So that is what slows us, our progress, or slows our understanding. And consequently, I remain content whether someone accepts my ideas or not. Each human being carries the seed of righteousness within them. So basically, the flow towards the height of Jagriti Kam Jagriti is there, but the slowing down, or the bottleneck, or the thing that is slowing us down, is our traditions or our belief systems. And Sanyong must occur for the seed to flourish. So I think Sanyong here means basically people who are of similar mindset towards Jagriti Kram Jagriti, right? So that's how that's what's needed here for the seed to flourish. When and how this will happen, we cannot predict. Every human desires good to prevail. I aim to bring the possibilities of its realization within reach. So I will just highlight this word. So this is very, very, I think this is a very nice point to end at for this today's discussion, because within reach, like there was a small game that I remember where we are supposed to cut out the ball which is bouncing inside a square box. So what happens is that you're supposed to click with the mouse and isolate that ball into the smallest of spaces, and that's how you get the most of points. So it's amazing how some of these games I remember, and how I'm linking it with darshan is actually basically creating the khalistan, the space it's like a rectangular box and there are two balls bouncing, and you're supposed to click at exactly the right point where the ball is going and going to touch the end, but you've clicked it, so there is a line goes through it and it isolates the ball, and you keep on cutting until you're not able to touch the ball which is coming, and the mouse is supposed to click it just when the ball is going away, and it bounces and then it comes back. It has found itself, it is getting locked into the smaller space. So my point is that uh, at that instance, I'm reminded by what is available within reach is the way you're going to win this thing. Because when there are many balls, when the level gets higher and higher, there are like 5 or 6 balls in the bouncing in that square area, and it gets very hard for the person to get any points. And in that way, what I see is that every part of the empty space is being touched by the ball, so it's very hard for the person to win this game. So if more and more people of us are just bouncing in that square space, the square space being the world, and we are just going and bouncing from here to there, we are giving ghosties, we are going giving guidance, we are talking about this, we are making reels. So it's like those balls are bouncing around, and some way or the other that bouncing ball touches a different part of space, and that creates that kind of environment where everyone gets this suggestion within their reach. So I don't know if I've made some sense, but the way I see it is that if we keep on bouncing, like literally not sitting in one place, adding to ourselves, uh, idealizing what the Babaji's work has done through our practice, what we have learned today, what we have understood today, talking about it, discussing about it, and finding the solace within yourselves and seeing the beauty of all of the coexistence, experiencing the whole of existence, and then also like minute ways of enacting it in our day-to-day lives also brings about a very very positive contribution towards the whole of existence. I think it cannot be said in any lesser words, and we suddenly become part of the the process of getting everything into orderliness. So we are suddenly now upgraded ourselves from being the consumers to the producers, from being the mindset of taking from the earth instead of taking from the earth. Now we become into orderliness, even giving back to the earth. We are giving back to society. We are giving back to ourselves inevitably, because what we add to each other will also come back to us. So yeah, I think I will stop sharing here. Maybe we can have a small discussion. We have some couple of minutes still left. Shalini has said something. अधिक गति कम गति को observe कर पाते हैं. Okay. The problem is when I'm sharing na, I cannot see the comments, but yeah, I think she mentioned somewhere early. Hmm.
It is in the regard of whether we can see the complete atom or not. In that
अच्छा.
regard, I think you have clarified that,
हाँ.
already
बढ़िया.
clarified that.
Yes. बढ़िया. Okay, so I think if anybody wants to add or to have a comment on this, I think it's the right platform. We can just have a small discussion. Maybe someone would like to go first. Who would like to go first? Maybe randomly we can choose. Shall I choose randomly? कभी कभी लगता है putting somebody on the spotlight, इसलिए मैं नहीं करता हूँ, but
Mm, yes, voluntarily people should come forward.
uh,
It's a small group, so we can discuss. In the larger group,
uh,
when more knowledgeable persons are there,
mm,
then we sometimes hesitate in asking or telling something, because
mm,
we are aware that those things may not go totally right or not. But in this group, we can definitely discuss certain things, and everyone should come forward if they are
uh,
in a situation. And I think today we discussed about Yog Sanyog, and it was very good idea that how in a Sanyog we are here for the completeness of each other,
mm,
and then the idea of how uh, when you get success in your life, it is not the last effort, it is rather than the efforts before that, they were also very, very important. And
Exactly.
finally, Babaji said that sometimes people were meeting him and or not convinced earlier, but later on, when they understood the idea, then they got convinced. And
Mm,
Babaji very clearly said that this is my aim. His aim is not to earn money, fame, etc. Only thing is to clarify the things or to understand the existence, and which he
mm,
has very rightly understood it as a coexistence.
mm, mm,
So these were some of the points which I could get from today's discussion.
mm. बहुत बढ़िया। नहीं, सही सही से आपने आपने सही से उसको रखा। आई एम जस्ट गोइंग बैक एंड सीइंग व्हाट आई हाईलाइटेड आल्सो। सो again, understanding something leads to us planning, developing, leading, and creation of structured programs, ultimately resulting to verifiable outcomes, है ना? तो उससे पहले तो हो नहीं सकता है कुछ भी। तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग 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 बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है towards any sort of action or verifiable outcomes. We'll not have verifiable outcomes if we have no understanding. I think it's very how is it? What's the word? It is very um, tempting to do something. It is very tempting to do something half baked or half understood, and that is going to create the worst problems, because जब आप आगे जा करके कुछ भी चीज़ में अटक जाते हो, then you'll have no answer at that point of time, and you've already done something halfway. So half understanding is very tempting, and it's going to create a lot of havoc. So basically पूरा अध्ययन करके ही, पूरा समझ करके ही कुछ भी आगे बढ़ना चाहिए. That is, I think, the beauty and the minimum requirement of this darshan, right? So that everybody can understand everything, and everybody should understand everything. So that's the first and the only, I think, prerequisite of this darshan, that we get to know everything about what is written and what Babaji is trying to show us, right? And as we go, I mean, with the darshan, there is a paribhasha, there are prabodhaks, and everybody is there. I mean, nobody gets tired. And that's one of the beautiful things I'm seeing. Nobody gets tired of repeating the things, even though they have been answered in the previous shivers. I am surprised that those shivers are going on still again and again and again, and still they are just being recorded. And if you look at it and rewind it, there's so much gold literally buried away into the YouTube links that are already there in the past, but still, they are still Prabodhaks, the people who are also studying, they are still creating the videos. I am also feeling like I should keep on adding to this series of playlist, because there is some sort of inner growth, or inner, how do you say it, inner, I will just use the jagriti, but inner jagriti is happening at every time when I'm sitting in this chair. This is what happens, and I'm sure that you would also agree the same. But I would also actually say to this that it is actually adding to me when I'm coming and sitting in this, taking these sessions. And to me, it is not a burden at all. Rather, it is a sweet reminder of what I'm here to do and to be every day, and a gentle nudge towards the righteousness, towards orderliness, and towards a society that I believe that is actually going to be possible in my lifetime. At least that is the intention. If we keep that intention, that is going to be possible. Next janam mein hoga to hoga. Nothing like that. I just want to see orderliness within me, and if so happens within everybody else around me, then so be it. But I definitely want to see the whole of existence, how it's supposed to work and everything. Basically, Jagriti happened to me in this lifetime. So that's the I think basic. I think everybody who is joining in the now in the future, anything, everybody should have this sort of a positive, not a positive, but a sort of self-reliance on the self. I mean, at least the least we can do is that we have all these peripherals within us, the man, vritti, chit, buddhi. We have that. We have given with the capacitated with all the language that we are able to understand. We are capacitated with intelligence, लॉजिक, तुलना विश्लेषण हम कर सकते हैं. देन वेयर इज द I mean, where is the problem, or rather, where is the uh, gap that we are trying to say that नहीं ये शायद नहीं इस जन्म में नहीं हो पाएगा. So that is definitely my aim. That yes, I will achieve the complete Jagrati, and that is the force that is driving me to be here every day. है ना? बढ़िया. So I wish that others will also join in. मुझको definitely दो तरीके से, एक तरह का वो प्रॉब्लम होता है. आई फील दैट आई एम बीइंग द प्रीचर समटाइम्स, या फिर मैं बहुत अच्छे से बोल रहा हूँ, या फिर मैं बहुत जस्ट ऐसे ही मेरे को लगता है कि यू गाइस मे बी आर नॉट कमिंग आउट एंड सेइंग समथिंग बिकॉज आई एम स्पीकिंग सो नाइसली एंड हाईली, और रादर यू आर जस्ट फीलिंग दैट कि हाँ लेट हिम कीप ऑन टॉकिंग बिकॉज ही इज टॉकिंग. सो आई एम हैविंग द पेरिल एट द बोथ द एंड्स. So let's see what and how we can involve, and yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you are rightly moving, and
Mm,
you are explaining things in a very practical manner, giving the
mm,
very examples from the life, or
mm.
the example from the technical side also, and correlating it with the
Yeah,
cyclicity of everything. So
yeah,
wherever we feel that we should add something, then we definitely add, and I'm
yeah,
sure the other will in future will be adding. But
yeah,
yes, you are on the right track. Don't worry,
yeah.
Bhaiya.
बढ़िया
Yeah,
चलो.
we are learning a lot from you.
बढ़िया बढ़िया चलो. I have gotten one vote today, so that's good. I am hoping to get the other votes also, है ना. Shivani Didi is also saying that I am a beginner, so I cannot even express properly, hence I am listening only. Okay. Yes, but I think the beginners are the ones who are having the most of curiosity, and I actually the one of the reasons I liked being a teacher is because I like the curious uh, questions with the kids that come up with. Every time I get their questions, I will next in my next session I will start with this. The what is the curious question that I've gotten in my life, which has actually given me an incentive to learn it more and further, and I'll explain that in my next session. And I will run out of time if I start now. Chalo, बढ़िया. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll meet again tomorrow. Have a good night. Thank you.